never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, good morning, beautiful people. How are you on this beautiful, well, it's not sort of a bad day out there, if I say that at the moment. I can sort of see bits of blue sky. Haven't had my hair done yet. Missed my shower. Sorry, got out of bed a bit late this morning, so I'll have to have one after this. I'm just playing around with these morning shows at the moment. I quite like this idea. I'm much better in the mornings, put it that way. But I was having a talk about doing early shows with Vince yesterday, and we're going to have another discussion about it tonight. So this show is sort of in part to let you guys know that tonight we're going to talk about doing early shows. May still do something in the evening. I don't know. Time is a factor. I have more time in the morning than I do in the evening for a variety of reasons. So we'll have a conversation with you, the family, about that to see how you feel about it. It probably is a bad move if it comes to amount of live views and that kind of thing. But I've never been about that. So if it works out better for us that I do a show in the morning, then so be it. Those people who want to watch it will watch it. We'll see. Anyway, a little bit of analysis to go on there, but I quite like these early morning catch-ups, even though my hair's not done and I look a bit rough around the edges. But that could equally be said for 6:30 at night. Let's just be honest. Rachel, first in the house this morning. Grand rising to you, my love. I hope you are doing well in Tassie and everything going well. Next hopium tomorrow. Well, maybe. We shall see. Some interesting things going on there. Do I have a shareable update? Rewatha, who went in for surgery yesterday. No, I don't. I have tried ringing Scoo a couple of occasions. I waited for a change of shift on the reception desk, but because I am not a family member, they won't tell me anything. So I'm sorry, I can't give you an update on Watha. I hope that he will pop up, pardon me, in the chat at some stage, but we'll keep an eye out. And I'm not exactly sure if Sunflower has his number. I thought I did, but I don't. But there'll be a couple of people I know on the Sunshine Coast who might have his number, and we'll endeavour to find out over the weekend or going forward. And certainly if he is up and about in hospital and awake, there might even be a little road trip. We might even hit the road and go up and say hi. Chris, nice to have you in this morning too. Lovely to see you. The lovely Susan. I did get your email, Susan. Thank you. And I'll reply to that one at some stage today, I would say. King Duck, trust you are well. Thank you. A sticker, Susan. Thank you so much. You are a beautiful soul, and every little bit goes a long way, can I tell you? So thank you so much. And thank you to anybody who is choosing to donate or choosing to become a member at vofhq.com. Or if you simply just want to have a go in our lottery, it's only $2 a ticket. And actually, let's see, I think there's just over 300 tickets available. 338 tickets maybe available left in this draw. Only $2 at merch.vofhq.com. And we are giving away $750, obviously, but we're also giving away at Magnificent, which I still don't have my wallet around me to show you, the magnificent little 1 gram bar of Ainsley Bullion, a beautiful minted bar. Thank you to a couple of you folks who donated those, and we'll be giving those away regularly at every 5th lottery coming up. And we will also be giving you the opportunity to pick up some of these. So these are the Ainsley Byron Bobs. And if you would like 10 of those, adding up to an ounce of silver, in this beautiful Voice of Freedom holder that Vince is 3D printing. His 3D printer has got steam coming off it at the moment because we've had a few people who are very keen to pick up one of these. It's sort of some are saying a bit of a collector's thing. I don't know that it's terribly collectible, but if that's the way you choose to view it, God love you. If you would like one, email me, carl@vofhq.com. There'll be $100 delivered to you. And that'll cover everything in them, everything surrounding them, and all the postage to get from Vince to me, from me to you, and all of that. I think we're not making any money out of it, put it that way. I think it's about $4 or $6 or something we get out of it. So it's not about raising money. It's about giving you something to remember us by, giving you something of value that you can actually use down the track. And I think sooner rather than later, you're probably going to get an opportunity for doing that too. God love you, Sunflower. Grand rising to you too. And Gay, I trust things are going all right in Oklahoma. Yeah, hot damn. Well, clearly Gay likes us in the morning. It works well for her. I think, what did you say? It was about 3:30, or was yesterday morning, about 3:30 in the afternoon your time. So it's probably 4 o'clock-ish now, I suppose, your part of the world. Damien, nice to have you in. Lovely to see you. Spazza, good to see you, brother. And I trust life is, well, yeah, persistently doing what it does. G'day, Susan. Oh, Susan's again. People have not been jumping on the early morning show. They can watch the replay. Yes, they can. And if you see, part of the reason that we are concerned about switching to a morning show is the fact that we have built such a wonderful family in the chat. And there might be restrictions on people in the morning, who usually watch the show at night, being involved in the chat. And I'm a bit concerned that the family that we've built in the chat, who offers a huge amount of support to each other, might get lost a bit in the move if I was to go to a morning show rather than an evening show. They can still be part of it, of course. You just can't comment in the live chat if you're not going to be part of the live show, but you still can comment in the comments, and that is highly desirable. It would help with our algorithms, but I understand it's a bit more of a disjointed conversation. So that's probably the largest influencing factor in the decision to do anything in this regard. I can do a morning show every morning without a worry. The problem is, in the evenings, the rest of the day has had its go at me, and sometimes there are things I've still got to complete and whatnot that makes it very hard to get a show out in the evenings. Mondays, as you know, are a particularly bad day for that. So wouldn't be a problem if I was doing it in the mornings. And in the mornings, I will be able to do a few different things. One of the things that I am planning to do, should you give me the blessing to move to the morning show, is I will open up the phone lines to you. I have the ability to give you a number to call where you can come on the show with me and have a chat about anything and everything. And I think a little bit of your input is what's required, particularly given what's going on around the nation now and in the next couple of weeks in the lead up and probably post August 31. And there are some rather distressing things coming out about August 31, and it has nothing to do with the organisers of August 31's March for Australia. In fact, it has a lot to do with the Palestinians, and we'll get onto that in the very near future. There's probably a barrage of things to make it happen for international people. I must have missed the top end of that, Rach. I don't know what that's referring to. Sorry. Yes, very early. Sorry, ASAP. But, well, I think yesterday morning was earlier. And if I was going to revert to my true breakfast radio nature, we'd be starting this at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd probably go for 3 hours. But I don't know that you guys really want to listen to me talk, because I can't play songs in the middle, not like good old radio stations. However, if I do have a phone line that I can open up, we can have a conversation for 3 hours. I mean, not you and I specifically, but many of you and I can have a conversation specifically for 3 hours, if that's the way you want to run it. You do need to be able to have your say. So I'm seriously considering how is the best way to do that. So, and any ideas you guys have, please send them to me. Don't just leave them in the chat and hope that I see them. Send them to me, carl@vofhq.com. This is your show at the end of the day. I want to make it work for you. And anything I can do to change that up, to give you a little bit of inspiration, to give you hopefully a little bit of a bonus, either with $750 or some gold or some silver, because the love that you show me needs to be returned. And that's very definitely how I feel about it. All right. Yeah, okay, Gay, you've got the right idea. Watching replays, you miss being part of the live chat. And if we do this 12 hours later, obviously you're at 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's not going to work terribly nicely for you at that time of the day, I understand. This time of day does work well. And in fact, I did a little bit of chat GPTing last night and got it to analyze when would be the best time for me to do a show. It actually suggests after 8 o'clock in the morning. I know from my work of the last 40 years in radio, that's probably not the best time to be doing a show, because most people are getting their day together, about to either head off to work or get the kids still out the door to school, and yada, 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 yada. So it's probably a little better that we do it a bit earlier rather than a bit later, or we do it later again, say at 10 o'clock in the morning, which I've got to admit would be a little harder for me, because sometimes life interrupts and you've got to be somewhere at that time of the morning. So the earlier the better for me, obviously. But if I have an early start and a big day somewhere and I'm stuck on the road getting home, then that's why there is issues sometimes doing night shows. Sometimes I'm just knackered and fall asleep. I've set a show up and I just fall asleep in the chair, because I am, and always have been since I got into radio, an early riser. This morning, I know I should have had a shower. I was out of bed at 4:45. But I come out here, I start looking for things that I can talk to you about for tonight's show, and then figured out, well, why am I doing it tonight when I could be doing it now? So that's sort of where my head's at. Life is like a box of chocolates, says Spazza. If my parents explained the meaning of reality, I most probably wouldn't have eaten so much chocolate. There is wisdom in what you say, Spazza. Great wisdom. Angelina, lovely to see you. Black Sheep, lovely to have you in the house. Hey, listen, I need to talk to you about that e-sword thing that you sent me. My God, it takes forever to load up. You put in Psalm 133, a song of degrees of David. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. That's Psalm 133. And I know that because Black Sheep put me onto this thing called eSword. And for the first time, it opened. And it's taken about 20 minutes to open. It's a huge thing. So there you go. You can look up Psalms and just about everything else. If you don't want to dive into the huge Bible, that's a very interesting way to be able to pick out texts. So thank you, Black Sheep, for the tip on that one. Listen, Gay, sometimes you set your alarm for 3 o'clock in the morning and then I'm not on. Oh, God, that would be frustrating. Gay, I apologize from my heart. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. That is just unacceptable from my perspective. I apologize. I will do better. Wow. Rachel, beautiful things in Tasmania, because things are going to get rough. We're going to move forward. Balance it out. Nice to be informed. Yeah, we do. Laughter is a great medicine. Laughter, in fact, I would agree is the best medicine, and you're probably going to get a lot more of it out of me in a morning show than you will in the afternoon, because by the evening, a lot of people have had the opportunity to piss me off, and I'm not feeling terribly funny about it. I know. In the mornings, that's what was always good about doing a breakfast radio show. Nobody can screw your day up. You're in there, you're the first person in there, and by the time the boss gets in and wants to yell at you, the show's over. So it doesn't impact what you put out the stick, so to speak. I might for the next day, but it certainly doesn't at the time. All right, let's get into some of the stuff that's going down. It'll be a fairly brief one this morning, because I understand you guys have got things you've got to do, except Gay, maybe you've got to cook dinner. But we'll just see how long it runs. This is very concerning. Now, this is the pro-Palestinian anti-fascist call to action. And funnily enough, the Muslims, what am I saying? The Palestinians have decided, rather than staying in their own area, they hold a rally in Sydney in Hyde Park every Sunday. They have decided that they are going to go and face off, by the sounds of it, against the March for Australia. Here is the clear division, folks, that is being inserted to scare people away from standing up for Australia. This isn't, as these people here. Now, listen to the lies that this. Just listen to the lies they're telling. On Sunday, the 31st of August, a March for Australia nationwide rally is calling for an Australia for the white man only. Bullshit. Absolute lies. You Palestinian pricks should be ashamed of the bald-faced lies you're telling. But I see unionists are involved down the bottom there. So we shouldn't be too concerned about their lies, maybe. Well, we should be concerned about them, but we shouldn't be surprised of them. This is a serious attack on Indigenous, black and brown people, migrants, refugees, and Palestinians. Once again, can I share with you something that I feel quite strongly about? Bullshit! It is nothing to do with you, Palestinians. It is nothing to do with making Australia white. God, the lies that you tell. And unfortunately, many of your followers aren't smart enough to see through them. And I think you bank on that. Sadly, if you've got morons who think this is what the Australia protest is all about, or the March for Australia is all about, you could not be more friggin' wrong. It'll be the racist rally, they say, which will be at the same time as the weekly Free Gaza protest, claiming to take back the streets from Free Palestine, or the Free Palestine movement. This protest, as far as I'm aware, has never claimed to take back the streets from anybody. They just want to go to a park and gather. They're not taking over streets like you Palestinian mob did and took over Sydney Harbour Bridge. Everybody got terribly excited for you. Still achieved nothing. Nothing. Not a thing. But you all felt good about it, jumped around, wank, bloody wonderful. How wonderful are you all? Terribly wonderful. Haven't achieved shit, and now you're going to start a fight. I'd be very, 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 very careful about starting a fight with Australians. All right? I'd be very careful. If the Palestinians decide they want to come and start a fight with Australians, I would be very, very wary. Australians are not going to put up with your shit. You might remember the Cronulla riots, all right? Now, that was taken over because a bunch of Aussies got sick and tired of the way, in many cases Palestinians, but more other types, were treating women at beaches. Now, have you had another problem like that since? No. But Alan Jones, I think, got in trouble for inciting a riot for the Cronulla riots. Interesting that I think that was when he was working on 2GB, where Beck Freedom was on yesterday with Ben Fordham, who had it lost on him. He brought up the Cronulla riots, and I think he'd forgotten that it was 2GB that instigated them, or Alan Jones via 2GB. They all got into trouble for it. Anyway, here is the call to action for these pro-Palestinian anti-fascist fuckers who want to come along and cause trouble. This is where the trouble will be started, folks. This is why we are sending people with cameras, not to film you walking the streets and proclaiming your love for Australia. We are going to film these bastards. Anyone who starts shit in Melbourne, Sydney, or Brisbane will be filmed. You'll be shot in beautiful 4K and greater quality still pictures, so that at any time of our choosing, we will be able to identify you, point you out to the authorities, and have you charged for the assaults that you commit on the day. I would urge anybody who is going to these protests or these marches for Australia to, by all means, go. Keep your phones out and film anyone who is trying to be divisive. Call them out for it. Show them that it's not going to work. Don't react to them, just point them out, shame them, turn on them, point at them, call on them, shame. They are clearly going to try and turn this rally into something that it never was and never will be. And this call to action sounds aggressive, very, very aggressive. They had made undertakings, and they'd told Beck Freedom in Sydney that they were staying in their park and Beck was in her park, and I believe the two are separated by 700 or 800 metres. There should be no reason for the two groups to come together. But now they are putting out a mobilisation call. They want to drown the amount of Aussies who turn up. Or no, they want to intimidate Australians into not turning up to support your own country. Truly, truly disgusting. And engineered. Wholly and solely engineered by people with a political reason to do so. So call them out for what they are, folks. The Palestinians who, up until I saw that poster, I had some sympathy for. But if you're going to come and create problems on the 31st of August, then you should be called for what you are, divisive assholes with not a brain in your heads. Or maybe you do have brains because you are trying to change the narrative with the lies in that poster. And unfortunately, I guess many of the people reading that poster don't have the brains to see through your lies. And that's maybe a sad quality, more indicative of who you're trying to promote this shit to than the good people of Australia, who are simply standing up for Australian cultural values. I'll say it again. We are a Western Christian democracy. Ricardo made this very clear to all of us. A Western Christian democracy. What does that mean? Well, that means we have Western Christian values, morals, which are incompatible with other non-Christian types of religions. That doesn't mean we can't get along. That doesn't mean we can't live harmoniously together. It just means we're different. The Palestinians are proving their difference by gathering every Sunday for Gaza, and good luck to them. Wonderful. Now they want to prove their difference again by getting on the streets and actively abusing Australians who want to stand up for Australia. You know, the country where these people who have the right to go and protest and not get shot at in Hyde Park every week. The country that shields them from that sort of angst. The country that has opened their doors, allowed these people in, shielded them from the hatred that is going on in their homeland. But they want to bring that hatred here. They want to bring that division here. They need to be shown, they need to be told, they need to be taught. It doesn't happen here. Australia is a better place, and we will stand up for our values, even if our government won't. Now, that's no threat. That's no whatever. Australians are good people. We will turn our backs on you, but if you start throwing punches, if you start abusing us, you're likely to cop a bit of it back. We're not backwards in coming forwards. And this is exactly what the arseholes in charge want. The level of intelligence displayed by the organisers of that Palestinian bullshit rally staggers me. You are morons. You are falling into the trap. You are pulling both dicks with all your hands. You are morons. You are being led like lamb to the slaughter. And you don't even realise it. You've been catching bullets for how long from Israel? You come to a country in Australia where you are shielded from that, and now you want to bring your shit here. This is what Australians don't like. Come to Australia, enjoy Australia, be Australians. Join us in our Christian Western democracy. Don't create division. But this is 100%. And I would like Ben Fordham to point this out, that the Palestinians and their organisational helpers see all that support and sponsorship they've got across the bottom of that there, folks. All of those logos, there's the support. They're the peopleists. Look, the socialists are involved. The unionists are involved. What a friggin' shock. It's absolutely disgusting that the people involved with this Palestinian, pro-Palestine, anti-fascist thing think that it's okay to do this. You are clearly, sadly, lacking in brain capacity. You clearly cannot tell the difference between an engineered issue, or maybe you can and this is what you want to engineer, in which case it makes it a lot worse. And I don't think there's any protecting of you going forward. But folks, do not be kowtowed by this bullshit, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to be afraid to stand up for Australia. They want you to keep your mouth shut when they do outrageous things that go against our cultural history, our cultural significance, our cultural being. We don't infringe on their cultural whatevers. In fact, in Melbourne, you're going to get $2.4 million multiple times to build cultural centres for different immigrant groups. Well, all Indian, apparently, but for a number of Indian groups scattered around Melbourne. And there will be more of that. You guys get more money handed to you in more various different ways, from social security to God knows what else, housing. And yet, you want to come and bitch and moan to the Australian people who pay for that. You people are stupid. You people are very, very stupid. I don't know how many of you have lived in Australia and how long you've lived in Australia, or how many real Australians you know. But if you know any real Australians, other than the ones that are just going to be your sycophantic friends and blow air up your ass because you come from a damaged country, there's a lot of Australians who couldn't give a shit. They say, thankfully, you're here now, you're safe, so start acting like a human being, not a moron. Well, these morons are instigators. Instigators, folks. That's what they are, instigators. Never let it be forgotten. It has nothing to do with Beck Freedom, although she will get blamed if this all turns into a shit fight, have no doubt. But remember, Beck Freedom is having her rally at a park. The other rally, the Palestinian rally, has been in Hyde Park every Sunday for however long it's been now. And now they decide they're going to mobilise. Now they decide, because they walked across the bridge and stopped the city and achieved absolutely nothing. Now, Australians don't have the right to do that. We're anti-Semitist, we're racist if we want to stand up for Australia. Be careful. Be very careful. Because when Australians really stand up for Australia, you're not going to like it. Not one bit. Here's a piece of shit. A Labor piece of shit. What a surprise. She's issued warnings to the demonstrators planning to take part in the anti-immigration. It's no place in Australia. This brand of far-right activism, grounded in racism, has no place in Australia. Somebody elected this moron, or this mouthpiece, who's being wound up, got a finger up a backside, and somebody's screwing it around real hard, and these words are coming out, because this stupid cow is also trying to ramp up our shame at being Australian. Absolutely disgusting. Now, this woman's name is Anne Alley, and she's effectively labelled anybody that wants to end mass immigration as far right. And of course, she comes from Albo Sleazy's place. Opposing mass immigration is not far right. It's the popular mainstream opinion silenced for too long by those who profit from this very system of driving housing shortages, job insecurity, declining productivity, environmental decay, lowering living standards, and the erosion of our national identity. That's what we're protesting about. When politicians sneer and brand us as extremists, we're not really about that. It's about intimidating the silent majority back into silence. That's exactly what it's about. So they hope that the movement will splinter, that the movement will fall apart, that nobody will turn up. And look, there is probably a significant chance that there aren't going to be too many that do turn up for that. It could be a problem. If it is a problem, it will be a sad day for Australia if nobody turns up to March for Australia. We may as well just start applying for residency in countries that do protect their citizens, because this country clearly will not. The E-Safety Commissioner is not talking on Twitter anymore. Don't you find that a little bit weird? Not actively monitored. Well, isn't the E-Safety Commissioner set up to monitor all this sort of shit coming off X and Twitter and all the other supposed social media platforms? They don't monitor it anymore because they get abused senseless on it. That's why, because they're overreaching, and they're going to continue overreaching. They're going to close the account. That's how bad or how low they are down into it. And, well, that American, who is our E-Safety Commissioner, has been caught numerous times doing things maybe she shouldn't be doing, and clearly the Albo Sleazy government have paid her enough money, or been paid enough money by others, to keep her in position. She is a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous woman. So here is a suggestion that's come from, that's the piece I played before, a Liberal MP suggesting that a radical immigration plan, that we pay them to go home. So how many Palestinians do you think you could pay to go back? Just between you, me, and the gatepost. Although, funnily enough, many of the Palestinians that come here under a war visa, one of those hardship visas, they come here and they go back to Gaza every 3 months. A lot of those new immigrants who come out here gain our access to our social security system, get a free house or get a very low-cost house, and get put, as I say, into our social security system, into our free medical system. They go home again. Spend 3 months back home, come back here, spend 3 months here, go back home, and spend 3 months. Why are we allowing them that sort of access? If you either want to move to Australia, and you've come to Australia to be Australian, why are you going home every 3 months? My father came from Germany in 1952, and I was thinking about this yesterday for another reason. He wouldn't have spent 2 years back in Germany for the rest of his life. Not for the rest of his life. And he died at 88 years of age. Came out here when he was 21. Now, he didn't feel the need to go back to Germany every 3 months. He didn't feel the need, particularly after the Second World War, I guess, to go back and help rebuild. He didn't feel the need to go back and, do whatever. He felt the need to come to Australia and help us build something. So what's wrong with you Palestinians and others? Why don't you want to do that? Why do you want to live in your own little enclaves, filthy, dirty, stinking little holes that are wedges in the Australian society? Why don't you want to become Australian when you've tried so desperately hard to be Australian? Many of you were born here. You've never been to Palestine. What the hell are you thinking? I understand the awfulness of what's going on, and we can protest that, and I will join you every day of the week. But when you turn on Australians, you are the division. And I think paying them to go home is a great idea, because once they're home, we can stop paying them. Don't you think that's a great idea? I love that idea. I think there's a lot of merit in that idea. Here's somebody we could probably pay to go home. Do you know who she is? It's probably difficult to recognize who she is, but she owns this, which is a rather spectacular Rolls-Royce SUV. It's not terribly spectacular anymore, because that's what it looks like these days. The white one is hers. The black one is owned by a Sydney limousine driver, and that limousine driver happened to be Kyle Sandiland's personal driver. This accident happened late at night in Sydney. The female, this one here, was responsible for driving it, and crashing into the car. He has major injuries. He's got spinal injuries, broken back, broken pelvis, a whole heap of other very, very concerning injuries. He may not be able to work again. And people were wondering who this lady actually is. Well, welcome, folks, to Xi Jinping's daughter. She's 23 years of age and has over $2.3 trillion invested in Australian banks. Yeah, what? $2.3 trillion invested in Australian banks. Yes, she'd had one or two more bevies than she should have when she parked her car in the front of that Mercedes-Benz van, doing significant damage to the driver. And it turns out the driver happens to be the driver of the Shock Jock of the Year, Kyle Sandilands, who is facing his own battles at the moment. Briefly, we'll talk about him. I guess he, on Tuesday, I think, mentioned on air that he thought he may have had a stroke because he wasn't pronouncing his words right. Who knows? He might have just been out and had a big night the night before, or he might have just been feeling tired. But somebody else jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh, yeah, you might have had a stroke. At any rate, he wasn't on the radio yesterday, I don't think. I'm not sure if he was the day before, and I'm not sure if he is today. It's not like I'm a big listener. So Kyle, if he does have a medical issue, could be involved with the aneurysms that he announced that he had late last year or middle of last year, and nobody else has ever heard anything about. He might also just be playing possum, as he's apt to like to do, and trying to wedge someone in the radio station management for a reason. There is a great deal of embarrassment in the ARN radio network, or the Australian radio network, about Kyle and Jackie O's show. The hype, the $200 million 10-year deal, the fact that they moved the show from Sydney into Melbourne and simulcasting in Melbourne as well. And they said they were going to, obviously, take over Melbourne. They were going to be great. Well, Melbourne has just turned their back on Kyle and Jackie O, and it has thrown the network into chaos because their plan was to roll Kyle and Jackie O out across every station in their network in every capital city. And that makes it, a relatively cheap breakfast show then if it's a national breakfast show. Kyle and Jackie O firmly believe that they can do that. Unfortunately, Melburnians are a very, very parochial radio audience, and a bunch of interlopers coming in from Sydney pretending to know a bit about Melbourne will never, ever, 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 ever work. And I am surprised that some of the highest paid radio industry executives in this country working for ARN are too stupid, too arrogant to actually understand that. All they need to do is go into Melbourne and talk to people who've worked in Melbourne radio for years. And when they stop laughing at your suggestion that Kyle and Jackie O are going to make an impact other than a bad one in Melbourne, you might listen to what they have to tell you. Mike Perso would be a good bloke to ask, I would suggest, amongst others. And that'll mean something to people in Melbourne who listen to Smooth, I guess. I used to work with Mike years ago at Double TFM. Interesting man. I've got a few stories there too. Kyle and Jackie O in Brisbane, which was touted as meant to be happening this year or early next year, fell on its ass. Brisbane will not accept Kyle and Jackie O either. The kids might, but the kids don't have the income, the disposable income that is required to fund a commercial radio network. All right, that's why you don't have kids radio stations as such. You'll get the B105s that cater for the young ones, but really the money's made elsewhere. So these morons just seem to think that you can roll out shows and, oh, yes, look, it's funny or it's dirty or it's this or it'll attract an audience, but it won't attract anything that'll stay, sadly. So maybe Kyle is thinking about quitting because he doesn't really need the money. He's pretty wealthy. He's been very good at spending it, admittedly. But his ego won't let him quit. He'll probably die behind the microphone or just off it. And I don't know what will happen then. Clearly, there's no other talent in Australia that could possibly fill Kyle Sandland's boots, or Jackie O's for that matter. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out down the road, don't you think? Africans have been charged after a man was shot and bashed with a hammer in the Melbourne home invasion. I don't know. That's not terribly Australian. There have been, I suppose, hammer attacks and bashings in Australia prior to this. But once again, in Melbourne, it seems to be the Africans are at the pointy. Oh, that's probably a bad analogy, bad word to use, but they are at the tip of what is going on in the terrorisation of suburbs, particularly, I believe, in the southeast and northern areas. So look out, folks. Be safe. In fact, I was warned only a few days ago that when I head back down to Victoria in the bus, I need to be very careful where I park it, because I am likely to be attacked by roving gangs of Africans. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that was the quote that I got the other day. I wouldn't want to be inside someone's land, on someone's land, away, not parked on the roads, because apparently things are quite out of control at night down in Melbourne. So fingers crossed we don't have to deal with that too much in the not too distant future. And I thought I might leave you with this one. Mandates are falling over all over the world. The dam has broken in New York. The Supreme Court has detonated the entire COVID regime with one ruling. Over 1,700 unjabbed heroes, cops, firefighters, teachers, garbage workers, all fired for refusing the shot. Well, now they're all back with full back pay. And the court made it crystal clear the mandates were illegal. The jabs never stopped transmission. So the truth is starting to get out in and around different parts of the world, folks. We know the truth is out here in Australia. We just know that there are so many morons willing to suppress that truth that it's difficult for people who have been brainwashed and who have taken 2 or more of these jabs to actually understand it. Why? Because the shit screws with your head. It's transforming you. And sadly, you may well be lost to humanity. But that's a whole other ballgame, something we might discuss tonight, ladies and gentlemen. When Vince joins me, we will have a talk about doing these early morning shows and a few other different pieces. G'day, Amos. Nice to have you in, mate. I'm having a bit of just a quick glance through here because I know people have to get off to work and go and do things, so I won't keep you up. We need to get some skilled tradesmen in here. The Albanese government has been bringing in yoga teachers and dog trainers from various third world countries. I imagine we've probably got quite a few good yoga teachers from one country in particular. Can't imagine we get too many good dog trainers from it, though. It's pretty sad that the way things are going on. Oh, he did he have a stroke for Kyle? Look, I don't know that he's had a stroke, and they will hype it up like he has until such time as he comes back on and says, no, he didn't. He was just tired and needed to have a rest or whatever. I know people live with aneurysms for a long time, years and years and years. So I don't know how serious these are, and I wouldn't wish them on anybody. I wouldn't wish anything like that on anybody. And I've met Kyle. We're not friends. I know he can come across, his public persona can come across as a certain way. Believe it or not, privately, he is a very different man. To a point. To a point. He doesn't suffer idiots, and that's something that he and I tend to have in common. It's just not good when both of us consider each other an idiot. You know how that works? All right, folks, going to love you and leave you for the day. We will be back tonight with Vince. Fingers crossed he wakes up. What am I doing for the rest of the day? It's a little clear out here, so I have some cleaning up I have to do. And we'll be hitting the road real soon, folks. That means we've got to start trying to gather some funds together to put some fuel and associated other things in the bus. So a way that you would be able to help us do that is to buy a ticket in our lottery. It's only $2 per ticket. We have 422 of them sold at the moment, I think, unless I refresh that and it's changed. So that makes a bit over 300 and a bit, 427 sold. So there are only 750 tickets in the draw, and it'll give you the chance to win $750 or a beautiful, beautiful piece of gold. A very pretty piece of gold. Looks like that. A 1 gram minted gold bar from Ainsley Bullion. And I was talking to a couple of people from Ainsley's yesterday. Yes, we will be hitting the road and doing a few different areas and venues, and they've asked me to ask you if this is something that you would like for maybe you were part of a group in your town or whatever, if you would like Ainsley to come along and have a bit of a chat about building your own wealth using bullion, then let me know. I'll let them know. We'll put it together, and there's every chance I'll tag along with that. So looking forward to trying to help as many people as humanly possible protect themselves against what this government is doing. And if you had taken this advice yesterday morning, the silver that you would have bought would be $1 more valuable to you today. 59.38 is the current spot price for silver. Gold has dropped back under 5,200. It's 5199. But the silver spot price is the one we're looking at. Will it be able to go through 60? It sat at 58.30 most of yesterday. Now overnight jumped up to 59.38. Get into it, folks. Ainsley Bullion in Melbourne, in Brisbane, and the Gold Coast now at 2400 Gold Coast Highway in Mermaid Beach on the corner of Marquerie Street and the Gold Coast Highway. They're on level 3 of the building there. Go in and check them out. They're in Collins Street in Melbourne and Creek Street in Brisbane. And you can even buy online at ainsleyBullion.com.au. The price you pay will be the price that you get now. And if the price goes up, today, you'll still get it at this price now. It's all securely sent to you. And don't forget, when you make an order, use my name or use the Voice of Freedom name, and you will get a little discount off it. And, well, let's face it, nobody else is going to give you a discount to go and buy gold and silver. And we thank Ainsley for their involvement and their support in everything that we do. So go and help us out there, folks. Or you can help out the Donkey Sanctuary. Sandy & Co. would love your help, and you can do that by buying a ticket in the raffle. And you can do that at merch.vofhq.com. See you tonight, folks. Be safe on the roads. There are dickheads out there.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!